What's happening, people? So it's your boy 1G Son again, and it's been a week since my last video. I don't even know how time flies so quickly, but yeah, so I'm back again, and usually I tend to focus on one subject and like kind of get into that, but there's been so much that's been happening within the scope of the last week or so. So I thought rather than try and focus on one thing, we're just going to have like a rundown of what's been happening in the last week and a few other days. So if some of the things fall outside the last week, don't crucify me. But I just thought we could talk at length, well, not at length, but we could talk a little about some of the things that have been going on in the country of late. Natasha Chance, Princess Natasha Chance, dropped two new tracks that came out almost back to back. The first one being OMG featuring Kunkeyani the Jedi. This is a collab that I've been waiting for since these people started rapping, and it finally came through. I'm gonna talk about that one on a separate video though with my friend Leonard. Here's a little sneak peek of what we got up to. So tell us, Sexy, what are your thoughts?
Beautiful, brilliant. It's amazing how she's done dancehall. She can sing. She can rap. Nothing like this pro style. Kind of looks like a different style. You know what I'm talking about, Mike? I'm playing like style. Oh, sorry, that wasn't necessary. Yeah, but yeah. So like this new pro style is working.
But yeah, a review for that is coming. The second track is a joint song with Solomon Plate. So that's Natasha Chansa and Solomon Plate, and both of these songs are a version of Natasha Chansa that most people are not accustomed to. So it's a new alter ego called Pro that is going to be more rap centric than any other version of Princess Natasha Chansa that you've known. So I'd recommend right now you go and listen to these tracks. I will most likely leave a link to the tracks in the video description below, so make sure you get to listen to that. In other music related news as well, Pilato also announced a project. I'm not really sure if it's an album yet, but it's described as a collection of performances by a number of artists, and that features, I saw Chef 187 was on the lineup. This is going to be something that's, I think, really good for the industry right now. We need a lot more music to kind of distract us from the shambles that are going on in this nation, because it's rough. I also need music to keep my mind relaxed, because right now I'm just going through a lot of stress with the exams that are approaching. So yeah, shout out to Unilas for that, giving us all this unnecessary pressure. But yeah, in keeping with musicians, they've been getting into a lot of trouble with the government of late. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding artists in recent times with some artists, B-Flow and a few others that came out, was described as criticism of the government or people telling the government what to do. And I don't really think what they did was criticism or being necessarily political. I think every citizen has the right to voice out their opinions on certain matters. Where B-Flow as well as some artists who came out in videos and they were really showing the disdain, the unhappiness that they show towards the government and what the situation is.
And why should people come in our country and then take over our country in a manner that they ill-treat us, the locals? Why should our leaders allow other people to mistreat us, and just when you expect that your leaders are going to stand for you, they stand with those people that are ill-treating you, the locals?
And this prompted the minister of the Lusaka province minister to actually call these people out.
And I want to urge Kings Malembe Malembe. I want to urge the cameraman. I don't know if it's what's the name, whatever the name is. And I want to urge Kings Malembe Malembe that I'm giving him 24 hours to apologize to the president for releasing those stinking nonsense directing to the office of the presidency. Let him withdraw.
That was B-Flow, as well as Kings Malembe and Chela Tukuta. I really don't like that guy though. And I'm even unhappy that I'm giving him free press time here. But yeah, he was one of the people that was a big voice against the corruption. It felt like a suppression of people's right to free speech, and I think everyone has that. Me speaking to you guys right now is me executing my freedom, my right to free speech, and I can say the things that I feel I should say, without anybody else taking offense, because it's basically my opinion. So yeah, musicians were kind of in the spotlight this week. There's also been talk about a protest against the corruption in the government and many other issues that are affecting a lot of people in Zambia, and musicians are obviously at the spearhead of that, which I think is good. So I really do need to step up as citizens. Every one of us needs to stand up for our rights and speak out whenever we feel there is something that needs to be talked about, addressed by the government. Again, is something that is very disappointing, because I feel like if you're going to say something, you must stand your ground. And I don't think there was anything wrong with it, but this just shows how much fear can be instilled in people by any representative of the government. So he came out and he apologized, and that was quite disappointing. We had people now openly calling out big artists, big name artists, for not doing the same, for not putting the people first and using their voice, their reach to influence things when it comes to the government. So Slap D was one of those people, and he kind of fired back and talked about how he's not mandated to speak on behalf of the people. They're artists who are just there to make some money and not be poor and take care of themselves, which I respect. But then also, I feel like you cannot constantly claim that you're not somebody that involves themselves in anything political, but you're also in pictures where you're meeting with people who are invested in politics. Like I said, him, Chefy 187, and many other artists were invited to this meeting between the government and the musicians, I guess, to kind of stress the point. And again, B-Flow was there. B-Flow also brought a lot of pressure upon himself after criticizing the government as well as everybody that's involved in the corruption. A few days later, he was in a meeting, and photos that came out kind of showed him almost looking like he was happy to be there. Although later on he clarified that he wasn't there to support the government, he was basically there to deliver a letter. I don't really know what the contents of that letter was, but it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look good. And I was talking to somebody just a few days ago, and I was telling them, as in regards to B-Flow's issue, I don't really think it's about what you were doing there. It's more about what it looks like, No matter how much damage control can be done, or whatever it is that was discussed in that meeting, I think it looks terrible, and I don't really think it's something that someone should apologize for. But again, the timing was off, and I think it was lured into like a trap, because this was a meeting that was organized by the State House itself, Secretary for Presidential Affairs, I believe. But yeah, that's what's been going on with our musicians lately. They've been getting into some stuff. Killer, who recently released his debut album, Killer Instinct, got one of the tracks' music videos onto Trace Music, and I think that's big for him as an artist as well as for Zambia as a country. And I think it's a really good music video. I think it was shot really well. It's a cute little love song for those of you that are interested. I will leave the link as well in the video description. This week ended with me and Manasseh. He organized one of the most disorganized football matches, and I think that was a good way to close out the week. We got our exercise in, so I got to hang out with some of the bros. That's shout out to Musea.
It's your boy there.
Guys, my babe put me in his boots.
We connected with him at Fallsway. He's on an interesting podcast that I think you guys should also tune into. It's called the Totally Clueless Podcast. They chop it up about everything. I think just right now, as I'm recording this, they dropped off another episode. I think you do well to kind of tune into that. It's podcast again, so you can play it while doing virtually anything else. We talked about football.
Adebayo became fire all time. That season when he scored 25 goals.
That was the only season when he scored those goals.
That season he scored 25 goals.
I don't rate that man.
When he put in the Chitans even.
He's just a prolific poacher, that one.
Yes, that's our best player even.
Fabregas,
Fabregas and Nasser. Okay, what season was that? That season
that's the only good season he had.
He scored
That's
that
the
goal
only good season.
Yes, he scored 25 goals.
Fabregas, where he got 3 assists in one game.
You remember that jersey we had, that one that had the stripes like that, that one, then one. That was at the bio season. Guys, the season where they even passed for him the Chitapin against Liverpool from Mokot.
From the time Fabregas came,
Then he went to celebrate on his own like
Adebayo is stupid.
But yeah, glad you guys could watch the whole video till the end. If you did, I appreciate you guys very much. Please. So appreciate you guys watching, and that was just our week. I'm obviously going to try and post a lot more often. Just that it's a stressful time right now. We've all got these exams. I don't know about you guys, but I've got final exams. So I'm going to do my best to post as much as I can. And if you guys have any suggestions for content or somebody whose music you'd like me to look at, something interesting, anything that's happening, or if you have comments on the matters I've discussed in this video, you guys can let us know in the comments. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, and just be good, I guess. Alright, so see you guys next time.